On September 4, 2023, tragedy struck Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia, as 14-year-old Colt Gray allegedly opened fire, killing 4 people and injuring 9 others. The incident became the deadliest school shooting of the year, leaving the community devastated and searching for answers. The victims included 2 14-year-old students, Mason Shimmerhorn and Christian Angulo, as well as 2 teachers, 39-year-old Ricky Aspinwall and 53-year-old Christina Ermey. Mason was described as having the sweetest, most loving soul with the biggest smile, while Christian was remembered as a caring freshman loved by many. Ricky Aspinwall, a math teacher and defensive coordinator for the school's football team, was a married father of 2. Christina Ermey, also a math teacher, had dedicated her life to shaping the minds and hearts of her students. The shooting unfolded rapidly, with school resource officers confronting the young gunman within minutes. Colt Gray surrendered quickly and was taken into custody. He now faces 4 counts of felony murder, with additional charges expected for the 9 people injured in the attack. The aftermath of the shooting saw an outpouring of support from both the local community and across the nation. Fundraisers and GoFundMe campaigns were established to provide financial assistance to the affected families. One such organization, Victims First, set up by survivors of other mass shootings, stepped in to offer support. As the community grappled with the tragedy, most Barrow County students returned to school the following week. However, Appalachia High School students had not yet resumed classes at the time of this report. School Superintendent Dr. Dallas Liu emphasized that students who were not ready to return should reach out to their school's principal for assistance and resources. The district implemented additional security measures, including an increased law enforcement presence, to ensure student safety and address potential concerns. The events leading up to the shooting have come under intense scrutiny, revealing a complex web of family dynamics, missed warning signs, and potential systemic failures. On the morning of the shooting, at approximately 9:50 a.m., Colt Gray's mother, Marcy Gray, called a school counselor reporting an extreme emergency regarding her son. She had received a text message from Colt saying, "I'm sorry, Mom." Marcy Gray later told ABC News that the counselor informed her that one of Colt's teachers had earlier sent an email expressing concern about Colt making references to school shootings. In her conversation with the counselor, Marcy Gray reportedly urged immediate action, saying, "I told them it was an extreme emergency and for them to go immediately and find Colt, check on him. I don't understand what took them so long between my gut feelings, the text messages, and now this email. Y'all need to go, run to the classroom now." After the initial attack, a badly beaten Bocanegra followed her assailants to their apartment in an attempt to retrieve her phone. Daniel Gonzalez, who had allegedly been sleeping during the assault, was awakened by the commotion at the door. Upon seeing Bocanegra's condition, he returned her phone and closed the door, later expressing shock at her appearance to investigators. Several passers-by witnessed the attack, with one person calling the Gwinnett County Police. When authorities arrived at Stevens' apartment that afternoon, they were met with a fabricated story. Stevens claimed that Bocanegra had come to her home and that they had gotten into a mutual fight over Daniel Gonzalez. She conveniently omitted the fact that she had lured Bocanegra there under false pretenses. Initially, the full extent of Bocanegra's injuries was not apparent. She managed to make her way to a local hospital to seek treatment. However, her condition rapidly deteriorated, and she required transfer to another facility for emergency surgery. Tragically, Ashley Bocanegra succumbed to her injuries before the operation could be performed. Upon receiving news of Bocanegra's death, Gwinnett County detectives returned to the Preston Hills at Mill Creek apartment complex. They found Stevens and Gonzalez still at the scene and requested they come to police headquarters for formal statements. The gravity of the situation had not yet fully dawned on the 2 women, particularly the younger Gonzalez, who appeared disturbingly nonchalant about the events that had transpired. During separate interrogations, the stark difference in the demeanor of the 2 suspects became apparent. Janine Gonzalez, seemingly unaware of the severity of her actions, recounted the incident with unsettling casualness. She laughed and smiled throughout her statement, describing the assault as if it were a typical teenage altercation rather than a fatal beating. Her lack of remorse and failure to grasp the gravity of Bocanegra's death was evident in her flippant responses to the detective's questions. Antonetta Stevens, on the other hand, appeared more subdued during her interrogation. She immediately requested a lawyer, expressing remorse for the incident, but maintaining that she had not intended to cause serious harm. Stevens attempted to portray herself as a victim of circumstances, citing her struggles with bipolar depression and the emotional turmoil of her failing relationship with Daniel Gonzalez. As the interrogations progressed, inconsistencies in their stories began to emerge. Janine Gonzalez's account of events shifted as detectives pressed her on details, particularly regarding the text messages sent to lure Bocanegra to the apartment. Eventually, she admitted to being present when Stevens used Daniel Gonzalez's phone to send the messages, though she claimed ignorance of their specific content. The autopsy report revealed the brutal nature of the attack on Ashley Bocanegra. She had sustained severe blunt force trauma to the head, resulting in brain hemorrhaging. The official cause of death was listed as generalized trauma, which had led to a rupture of her right adrenal gland. The manner of death was unequivocally ruled a homicide. When confronted with the news of Bocanegra's death, Janine Gonzalez's reaction was a mix of shock and a disturbing lack of empathy. She expressed surprise at the outcome, given Bocanegra's small stature, but showed little genuine remorse for her role in the events. Her comments about going to hell seemed more focused on the consequences for herself rather than the tragedy of a life lost. Daniel Gonzalez, who had been interviewed separately at the apartment complex, provided crucial information to the investigators. He shared the text messages from his phone, confirming that Stevens had impersonated him to lure Bocanegra. Unlike Stevens and his sister, Daniel Gonzalez appeared genuinely distraught upon learning of Bocanegra's death, breaking down in front of the detectives. The aftermath of this tragic event left 3 young boys without their mothers. Antonetta Stevens' 2 sons, aged 3 and 9, and Ashley Bocanegra's 7-year-old son, now faced a future forever altered by the senseless violence of that August morning. The ripple effects of the crime extended far beyond the immediate participants, devastating multiple families and communities. In the end, both Antonetta Stevens and Janine Gonzalez were charged with murder and robbery. The robbery charge stemmed from their theft of Bocanegra's phone during the assault, an act that they had attempted to downplay as merely a means to contact Bocanegra's husband. However, the unauthorized taking of the phone, regardless of their stated intentions, constituted a criminal act. The legal proceedings that followed saw both women facing the grave consequences of their actions. Despite their initial attempts to minimize their roles in Bocanegra's death, the evidence against them was overwhelming. The cell phone video recorded by Janine Gonzalez provided damning proof of the brutal assault, while the text messages on Daniel Gonzalez's phone demonstrated the premeditated nature of their plan to confront Bocanegra. In the face of this evidence, both Stevens and Gonzalez eventually accepted plea deals. They were each sentenced to 20 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter and robbery by force. As of the time of this report, both women are serving their sentences at Arendelle State Prison, with their maximum release dates set for August 2042. This case serves as a stark reminder of how quickly jealousy, anger, and poor decision-making can escalate into tragedy. What began as a romantic rivalry spiraled into a senseless act of violence that cost a young mother her life and irrevocably altered the futures of all involved. The casual brutality displayed, particularly by the younger Janine Gonzalez, shocked the community and raised questions about the desensitization to violence among some youth. The role of social media and technology in this crime also came under scrutiny. The fact that Janine Gonzalez chose to record the assault rather than intervene or seek help highlighted a disturbing trend of prioritizing documentation over human decency. The ease with which Stevens was able to impersonate Daniel Gonzalez via text message to lure Bocanegra into a trap underscored the potential dangers of digital communication in the wrong hands. For the families left behind, the road to healing will be long and difficult. Ashley Bocanegra's young son must now grow up without his mother, while Stevens's children face years of separation from theirs. The emotional trauma inflicted on these innocent children serves as a heartbreaking reminder of the far-reaching consequences of violent crimes. The community of Gwinnett County was left to grapple with the shocking nature of this crime. The fact that it occurred in broad daylight, in a residential area where families should feel safe, added to the sense of violation and fear. Local authorities and community leaders were prompted to reevaluate programs aimed at conflict resolution and domestic violence prevention, recognizing the need for increased awareness and intervention strategies. As this case fades from headlines, it leaves behind important lessons about the devastating impact of unchecked jealousy and the critical importance of making wise choices in moments of anger. It serves as a somber reminder of how quickly lives can be destroyed and the enduring pain left in the wake of senseless violence. For Ashley Bocanegra, Antonetta Stevens, and Janine Gonzalez, a single day in August 2022 forever altered the course of their lives and those of their loved ones. As Stevens and Gonzalez serve out their sentences, and as Bocanegra's family struggles to move forward without her, the tragic events of that summer day in Georgia stand as a stark cautionary tale about the potentially fatal consequences of allowing emotions to override reason and humanity.